The Vraxian fleet emerged from hyperspace with predatory grace, their crystalline vessels refracting starlight across the void. Commander Taras Nelvek observed Earth from the command deck of the flagship Iron Fist, a smile playing across his scaled features. After centuries of observation, the Vraxian hegemony had decided humanity, with their chaotic tendencies and rapid technological advancement, represented too great a threat to galactic stability. "Primitive weapons signatures detected, Commander," reported Officer Krav. "Their orbital defenses are minimal." Nelvek flicked his tail in dismissal. "As expected. Begin the approach vector, standard conquest protocol." But as the invasion force approached Earth's orbit, proximity alarms blared across the command deck. "Massive energy spike!" shouted Creve, mandibles clicking in alarm. "Unknown vessel decloaking! It's directly in our path!" Where empty space had existed moments before, a massive warship materialized. Its obsidian hull seemed to drink in light rather than reflect it, broken only by pulsing blue energy lines that traced its angular contours. Unlike the elegant biological curves of Vraxian ships, this vessel bristled with weaponry. Not the primitive projectile launchers the scouts had reported, but something far more advanced. "Impossible," whispered Nelvek. "Earth doesn't possess cloaking technology." The mysterious vessel's size dwarfed their flagship by at least triple. Along its hull, in stark white lettering, UES Nemesis. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission. The AS?" Holographic display flickered to life, revealing a human female with copper-red hair pulled back in a tight military style. Her piercing emerald eyes reflected none of the fear expected from a primitive species facing their technological superiors. "This is Admiral Raven Mercer of the United Earthship Nemesis," she stated, voice calm but edged with steel. "You have entered restricted space with weapons hot. Identify yourselves and state your purpose immediately." Nelvek recovered quickly, drawing himself to his full height. "I am Commander Taras Nelvek of the Vraxian hegemony. Your planet has been selected for integration. Surrender your defenses, and your species will be permitted to serve under our enlightened rule." Admiral Mercer's expression didn't change. "Integration, is it? Interesting euphemism for invasion." "Your species is chaotic, undisciplined," Nelvek continued. "The hegemony brings order to—" "Let me stop you there, Commander," interrupted Mercer. 3 years ago, we detected your scout ships. 2 years ago, we intercepted your transmissions. We've been preparing. The Nemesis represents humanity's response to threats exactly like yours." For the first time, uncertainty crept into Nelvek's mind. The scouting reports had indicated nothing like this vessel. "This is your only warning," continued Mercer. "Turn your fleet around and report to your leaders that Earth is not a viable target for integration." Nelvek laughed, the sound echoing across the command deck. "One ship, no matter how unexpectedly advanced, cannot stand against our fleet. Your bravery is noted, Admiral, but ultimately futile." Mercer's lips curled into what humans called a smile, but contained no warmth. "You misunderstand me, Commander. This isn't bravery. It's courtesy. We could have simply destroyed your fleet upon arrival." She leaned forward. "The Nemesis isn't just a warship. It's a message. And if you choose to ignore this warning, you'll discover exactly what happens when humanity decides to stop playing." "Nice." As she spoke, targeting sensors detected multiple smaller craft launching from the Nemesis, taking up flanking positions with impossible speed and precision. Nelvek felt the first pangs of genuine concern. Perhaps there was more to these humans than the hegemony had anticipated. "You have 1 hour to decide, Commander," said Mercer, before the transmission cut. The countdown to humanity's introduction to the galactic stage had begun. The hour passed in tense silence. On the Nemesis, Admiral Raven Mercer stood with hands clasped behind her back, watching tactical displays tracking each of the 87 Vraxian vessels. "They're repositioning," noted Lieutenant Commander Dario Casimir, the ship's tactical officer. His augmented eyes, glowing faintly blue from cybernetic enhancements, processed battlefield data faster than any unmodified human could. Aggressive formation, Mercer observed. Looks like diplomacy has failed. Next to her, Commander Alara Voss nodded grimly. As expected, the psych profile indicated a 93% probability they'd choose conflict. The bridge of the Nemesis reflected humanity's rapid evolution since discovering they weren't alone in the universe. Unlike the sterile environments depicted in old science fiction, the command center balanced function with human ergonomics. Neural interfaces allowed crew members to process information through both traditional displays and direct mental feeds. "Admiral," came the voice of Atlas, the ship's quantum AI. "The Vraxian flagship is hailing us." On screen, Commander Nelvek's face appeared, his expression a mixture of contempt and curiosity. "Your hour has elapsed, Admiral. Have you reconsidered your position?" "We have," Mercer replied evenly. "We've decided to give you one last opportunity to retreat." Nelvek's scaled brow ridges rose. "Perhaps I failed to make our position clear. The Vraxian hegemony has cataloged over 300 sentient species across this galaxy. 37 have attempted resistance. None have succeeded. Then consider us number 38, Mercer responded, and the first to win. Nelvek's tail lashed irritably behind him. "Your arrogance is remarkable for a species that has barely left its own solar system." "That's what you think." Mercer nodded to Casimir. The tactical officer engaged a sequence, and throughout the Vraxian fleet, navigational systems suddenly displayed dozens of new contacts emerging from concealed positions around Earth's orbital defense perimeter. "What you're seeing," explained Mercer, "are the rest of Earth's defenders. The Nemesis isn't alone." For the first time, genuine alarm flashed across Nelvek's features. "Impossible! Our surveillance—" "Was exactly what we wanted you to see," interrupted Mercer. "While your scouts were busy watching our outdated space stations and satellites, we were building something else entirely." The transmission abruptly cut as the Vraxian fleet exploded into action, ships breaking formation to address the new threats. "They've launched fighters," reported Casimir. "Energy weapons charging across their fleet." Mercer's expression hardened. "Atlas, engage Aegis defense grid. Launch Valkyrie squadrons. Weapons free." "Acknowledged, Admiral," responded the AI. The Nemesis transformed from ominous sentinel to engine of war. Armored panels shifted along its hull, revealing particle cannon arrays and missile silos. From launch bays, squadrons of Valkyrie fighters, sleek craft piloted by the best Earth had to offer, streamed into space. The first Vraxian energy beams struck the Nemesis, only to dissipate against shimmering shields holding at 97%, reported Lieutenant Ishani Rahman from Engineering. Her hands danced across hollow controls as she redirected power. "Their weapons are powerful but predictable. The adaptive countermeasures are already compensating." "Return fire," ordered Mercer. "Target their propulsion systems first. I want prisoners, not martyrs." The Nemesis responded with devastating precision. Concentrated particle beams lanced out, slicing through Vraxian shields with unexpected ease. "How?" gasped Nelvek from his command deck as alarms blared around him. "Their technology is beyond your understanding," finished Officer Kriv, mandibles trembling. "Commander, they're systematically disabling our fleet. Not destroying, disabling." Nelvek watched in horror as ship after ship lost propulsion, weapons, or both. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were executing a masterfully planned strategy that had anticipated Vraxian tactics. As the battle unfolded, one truth became increasingly clear. The Vraxians hadn't found an easy conquest. They'd stumbled into humanity's carefully laid trap. The space around Earth transformed into a chaotic light show as Valkyrie squadrons darted between the larger Vraxian vessels. Unlike traditional fighter craft, these were neural-linked extension vehicles. Their pilots remained aboard the Nemesis, controlling the fighters through quantum-entangled connections that eliminated lag and multiplied reaction times. Squadron Leader. Orion Kavindra's consciousness flowed through his Valkyrie, the distinction between man and machine blurring as he executed maneuvers physically impossible for an embodied pilot. Echo Squadron, form up on me, he commanded, thoughts translating, instantly to communication. Target designated Beta 3. 5 Valkyries fell into formation behind him, approaching a Vraxian cruiser that was targeting Earth's orbital defense platforms. The alien vessel bristled with crystalline weapon nodes that glowed with building energy. "Those defenses are decoys," muttered Kavindra. "But they don't know that." The squadron accelerated to attack velocity, releasing precisely calibrated EMP torpedoes that phased through the Vraxian shields. Technology Earth had developed specifically. After studying the scout ship's defensive capabilities, aboard the Vraxian cruiser Silverblade, Captain Zevrak watched in disbelief as systems failed across his command deck. How did they penetrate our shields? Nothing in the intelligence briefings indicated. His words died as emergency lighting bathed the bridge in ominous red. The human fighters had already moved on to their next target, leaving his ship dead in space. Back on the Nemesis, Admiral Mercer studied the tactical display with grim satisfaction. Half the Vraxian fleet had been neutralized, with minimal Earth casualties. "Admiral," reported Commander Voss, "the Vraxian flagship is attempting to rally their remaining forces for a concentrated attack." Mercer nodded. "They're adaptable." "Atlas, analysis?" The AI's voice remained calm. "Commander Nelvek is implementing standard Vraxian response pattern Delta, sacrificing smaller vessels to protect command ships while preparing for emergency hyperspace jump." "Not happening," Mercer decided. "Deploy the gravity anchors." From the Nemesis, 6 specialized drones launched, positioning themselves in a hexagonal formation around the battlefield. Once in position, they activated simultaneously, generating an artificial gravity well that made hyperspace travel impossible. On the Iron Fist, Commander Nelvek felt the subtle shift in spatial dynamics. "Jump drives are non-responsive." "Some kind of localized space-time distortion," reported his science officer. "They've trapped us here." Nelvek's pupils contracted to slits. "All remaining ships converge on the human flagship. Concentrate all firepower. We will not be humiliated by primitives." The remaining Vraxian vessels formed a desperate attack pattern, bringing their weapons to bear on the Nemesis. Admiral Mercer watched the maneuver with clinical detachment. "Predictable, tactical, prepare the Nova array, Lieutenant Commander." Casimir's augmented eyes widened slightly. "Admiral, that system hasn't been field-tested." "No time like the present," Mercer replied. "Target their weapon systems only." Casimir nodded, entering the command sequence. Along the dorsal spine of the Nemesis, panels retracted to reveal a series of precisely aligned emitters. Energy built within them, creating a rippling distortion visible even to the naked eye. "Nova system charged," reported Casimir. "Targeting solution locked." Mercer took a deep breath. "Fire." The Nemesis released not a beam or projectile, but a precisely modulated wave of energy that propagated outward at near-light speed. When it contacted the Vraxian ships, it didn't damage their hulls or overload their shields. Instead, it targeted specific electromagnetic frequencies used in their weapon systems, rendering them instantly inoperable. In a single stroke, the remaining Vraxian threat had been neutralized. Stunned silence fell across the Iron Fist's command deck. Commander Nelvek stared at the readouts in disbelief. Not only had the humans defeated their superior force, but they had done so with technology that the hegemony's finest scientists had deemed theoretically impossible for centuries to come. "Commander," whispered Officer Kriv, "what do we do now?" Before Nelvek could respond, Admiral Mercer's face appeared on their main display. "Commander Nelvek," she said, her voice carrying the weight of Earth's united response. "Your fleet has been disabled. You have no weapons, no means of escape, and no reinforcements coming. Now, shall we discuss the terms of your surrender? For the first time in recorded Vraxian history, a commander of the hegemony faced total defeat. 6 hours after the battle, Commander Nelvek found himself escorted through the gleaming corridors of the Nemesis. Unlike the prisoners of war scenarios described in hegemony training, there were no cells, no restraints, just 2 human guards with weapons he didn't recognize walking alongside him. They arrived at what appeared to be a conference room. Inside, Admiral Mercer stood with several other humans in different uniforms, suggesting various branches of Earth's military or government. "Commander Nelvek," Mercer gestured to an empty chair. "Please, sit." Nelvek lowered himself cautiously, tail curling defensively around his chair leg. "Is this where you dictate surrender terms, Admiral?" A man with silver-streaked black hair stepped forward. "Actually, we're more interested in establishing dialogue. I'm Director Harland Riker, United Earth Intelligence Division." "You've put us in an unusual position," added a dark-skinned woman in a different uniform. "I'm General Imara Okafor, Earth Defense Force. Our protocols for first contact didn't account for the first contact being an invasion force." Nelvek's inner eyelids flicked in confusion. "You speak as though the hegemony is the first extraterrestrial civilization you've encountered?" The humans exchanged glances. "Technically, yes," Mercer confirmed, "though we've been aware of your existence and others for some time." "Impossible," Nelvek hissed. "Your technology, the Nemesis. You couldn't have developed such advancements without outside influence." Director Riker smiled thinly. "That's where you're wrong, Commander. Everything you witnessed today is of human origin." He activated a holographic display showing Earth's technological development timeline, with particular emphasis on the last 20 years. 3 decades ago, one of your long-range scout ships crashed in a remote region of Earth, explained Riker. The crew didn't survive, but the ship did. We recovered it before your retrieval drones arrived. Realization dawned on Nelvek. The missing Pathfinder vessel. The hegemony assumed it was destroyed in an asteroid collision. From that single ship, continued General Okafor, we learned not only about the Vraxians, but about the broader galactic community. We discovered we were hopelessly outmatched technologically. So we did what humans do best, added Mercer. We adapted, we unified, we prepared. The timeline showed how Earth's nations had secretly united after confirming extraterrestrial threats, pooling resources and talent toward a single goal: survival. The Nemesis represents 20 years of reverse engineering, innovation, and desperate preparation, Riker said. We needed a deterrent sufficient to give even the most advanced species pause. Nelvek studied the ship schematics now displayed. You built this vessel specifically to counter Vraxian technology, among others, confirmed Mercer. Your scout ships weren't as subtle as you believed. We've been monitoring your communications, studying your tactical doctrines, analyzing your technology's weaknesses, all while presenting a carefully crafted image of a divided, technologically primitive species, added Okafor. Nelvek's tail twitched with newfound respect. Deception on a planetary scale? Impressive. Necessary, corrected Riker. The Nemesis isn't just a warship. It's a message to the galaxy. Humanity won't be conquered or integrated without a fight. And now? Asked Nelvek. Admiral Mercer leaned forward. Now we negotiate. Not as conqueror and conquered, but as equals. The Vraxian hegemony will acknowledge Earth's sovereignty and our right to exist free from external control. In exchange, continued Riker, we're prepared to share certain technological innovations that might interest your scientists. Partnerships rather than subjugation. Nelvek stared at the humans, reassessing everything the hegemony thought they knew about this species. These weren't the primitive, chaotic beings described in the reports. They were cunning, unified, and far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The Hegemony Council won't easily accept these terms, he said finally. They will when they review the battle data, Mercer responded, and when they understand the alternatives. As if on cue, the holographic display shifted to show additional Earth vessels moving out of concealment positions throughout the solar system, ships matching or exceeding the Nemesis in capability. Nelvek realized with startling clarity that, had the Vraxians arrived with their full invasion force rather than the advance fleet, the outcome would have been the same, just with higher casualties. Humanity hadn't just been preparing for defense. They'd been preparing to announce their presence to the galaxy. 3 days later, the surviving Vraxian officers gathered in the Nemesis's grand conference chamber. The room symbolized humanity's new reality, blending Earth architectural traditions with functional elements designed to accommodate various physiologies. Commander Nelvek noted the slight adjustments made for Vraxian comfort: higher oxygen content, ambient heat reflectors, and seating modified for tailed species. Small gestures, but revealing ones. Admiral Mercer entered with an entourage of human officials, including several Nelvek hadn't yet met. Most notable was a silver-haired woman with piercing blue eyes whose uniform bore unique insignia. "Commander," Mercer began, "may I introduce Chancellor Astrid Einarsdottir, head of the United Earth Government." Nelvek performed the Vraxian salute of respect, something he would have considered unthinkable days earlier. "Chancellor." "Commander Nelvek," Einarsdottir's voice carried quiet authority. "I understand you've been reviewing our proposed treaty terms." "I have," confirmed Nelvek. "Many provisions are unexpected. Rather than demanding reparations or territorial concessions, the humans sought knowledge exchange, trade agreements, and mutual defense pacts. Most surprisingly, they requested Vraxian support in approaching the wider galactic community." "You're seeking sponsorship," Nelvek realized. Chancellor Einarsdottir smiled diplomatically. "We understand that despite our technological achievements, we remain newcomers to galactic society. The Vraxian hegemony holds respected status among the elder species. Your vouching for humanity would ease our transition." "A transition you seem determined to make," observed Nelvek. "The age of Earth's isolation is over," confirmed Mercer. "Whether through this cooperative approach or by necessity if other species follow your example." A practical analysis appeared on Nelvek's datapad, projections showing how Vraxian-human cooperation would benefit both species economically and strategically. The humans had even identified 3 emerging threats to hegemony territories that joint operations could neutralize. "Chancellor," Nelvek said carefully, "while I find these terms reasonable, I'm not authorized to commit the hegemony to such agreements." "Of course," Einarsdottir acknowledged. "We're prepared to send a diplomatic delegation to your homeworld, accompanied by a small fleet to ensure their safety." The implied message wasn't subtle. The fleet would demonstrate Earth's capabilities directly to the Hegemony Council. "Furthermore," continued Director Riker, who had been silently observing, "we're activating our deep space communication network today. Our first broadcast will include documentation of our encounter with your forces." Nelvek's inner eyelids flickered in alarm. "You're announcing your military capabilities to the entire galaxy? Transparency serves our interests," explained General Okafor. "Any species contemplating Earth as a target will now have accurate information about the consequences." A bold strategy, Nelvek had to admit. Most emerging species attempted to hide their strengths and weaknesses. "There's something else you should understand about humans," said Mercer, her expression softening slightly. "We genuinely prefer peace. The Nemesis and our other vessels were built for defense, not conquest. Yet you could have destroyed my fleet entirely," noted Nelvek. "We could have," agreed Einarsdottir. Instead, we disabled your ships and kept casualties to an absolute minimum. That choice was deliberate. For 3 days, Nelvek had observed these humans, their interactions, their decision-making processes, their treatment of prisoners. The hegemony's assessment of humanity as chaotic and undisciplined had been fundamentally flawed. They were passionate, yes, and individually unpredictable, but collectively they displayed remarkable coherence of purpose. I believe, Nelvek said finally, that the Hegemony Council will accept these terms, if only to study you more closely. A reasonable start, Chancellor Einar's daughter nodded. As the meeting concluded, Admiral Mercer escorted Nelvek back toward the Vraxian quarters. They paused at a viewport overlooking Earth, a swirling blue-white sphere that had produced such an unexpected species. You know, Mercer said conversationally, throughout our history, humans have often been our own worst enemies. We've fought countless wars against each other, nearly destroyed our civilization multiple times. Yet you unified against an external threat, observed Nelvek. Mercer smiled slightly. The discovery of your scout ship was the catalyst we needed. Suddenly our differences seemed insignificant compared to the stars. Nelvek studied the human admiral. A species he had been prepared to subjugate days earlier, now revealed as equals. Or perhaps more. The hegemony has encountered many species, Admiral, he said thoughtfully. But I believe humanity may be unique in the galaxy. How so? Most species either expand aggressively upon achieving space travel, or they remain cautiously isolated. You did neither. You prepared silently, developed defensively, yet stand ready to engage with the wider universe. His tail moved in a gesture of respect. The hegemony has much to reconsider. As Earth rotated slowly beneath them, both Commander and Admiral understood that the galaxy's political landscape had just shifted irrevocably. Humanity had arrived. 1 month after first contact, the Nemesis led a small Earth fleet toward the coordinates for the Galactic Assembly, the closest thing to a united governing body among the elder species. Admiral Mercer stood on the bridge, watching stars streak by at faster-than-light speeds, achieved through humanity's unique approach to hyperspatial physics. Status report, she requested. All systems nominal, reported Lieutenant Commander Casimir. The Vraxian escort vessels are maintaining formation on our starboard flank. Commander Nelvek's flagship, fully repaired, flew alongside 3 Earth vessels, a gesture of the rapidly evolving relationship between their species. Following the battle, the Hegemony Council had not only ratified the peace treaty, but requested urgent technological exchange, particularly regarding Earth's gravity anchor system. Admiral, Atlas announced, we're receiving a transmission from the Spire. The Spire, headquarters of the Galactic Assembly, had responded to humanity's arrival in interstellar politics with mixed reactions. Some species demanded quarantine protocols, others sought immediate alliances. On screen, ordered Mercer. Being appeared, vaguely humanoid but with translucent, almost gelatinous features that shifted constantly. This was Ambassador Zillith of the Neridian Collective, current Assembly chair being. Admiral Mercer, the alien's voice came through the translator with a melodic quality. The Assembly appreciates your compliance with our approach protocols. Of course, Ambassador, Mercer replied diplomatically. Earth respects the established order. A subtle ripple passed through Zillith's form, the Neridian equivalent of skeptical laughter. Does it? The species that defeated a Vraxian fleet, then converted them from conquerors to advocates in less than a standard cycle? We prefer cooperation when possible, Mercer stated simply. Indeed. Zillith's form stabilized. The Assembly has reviewed Commander Nelvek's reports and your formal introduction package. Your species presents unique considerations. On a secondary channel, Nelvek's communication came through. Translation. "They're terrified of you," the Vraxian commented privately. Mercer suppressed a smile. In the weeks working together, she'd come to appreciate Nelvek's candor. "The Assembly has granted your delegation landing clearance," continued Zilith. "However, regarding your request for observer status, several delegations have expressed concerns about a species that developed in isolation, yet possesses technology rivaling or exceeding the elder races." "Ambassador?" Mercer responded carefully. "Humanity's development path has been unconventional, certainly, but our goals align with the Assembly's founding principles: mutual security, knowledge exchange, and peaceful coexistence." "Noble sentiments," Zilith acknowledged, "though your warship makes an interesting diplomatic vessel." "The Nemesis wasn't built for conquest," Mercer countered. "It was built because we discovered a galaxy where strength determines whether a species survives to join this conversation at all." A moment of silence followed as Zilith processed her words. "An astute observation," the ambassador finally replied. "Your delegation is expected in 6 hours. Zilith out." As the transmission ended, Mercer turned to the assembled bridge crew. "Well," Commander Voss said, "that could have gone worse. Or better," added Casimir. Mercer moved to the viewport, watching as they approached the massive space station that housed representatives from over 400 species. Earth's delegation, scientists, diplomats, and military leaders had prepared extensively for this moment. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Raman from her station, "priority message from Earth." "Command, in my ready room," Mercer responded. Once alone, she activated the secure channel to find Chancellor Einar's daughter waiting. "Chancellor, we've cleared the final checkpoint. The Assembly has granted landing clearance." Einar's daughter nodded. "Excellent. And the preservation protocol?" "In place," confirmed Mercer. "If negotiations fail, the contingency fleet is positioned at the designated coordinates." Both women understood what remained unspoken. Humanity would not risk extinction or subjugation, regardless of Assembly politics. "Let's hope it doesn't come to that," the Chancellor said. "Your primary mission remains unchanged. Establish our legitimacy, secure observer status, and begin formal knowledge exchange. And if certain factions resist our inclusion—" Einar's daughter's expression hardened slightly. "Then remind them, diplomatically of course, that Earth entered the galactic stage by defeating those who sought to conquer us. We come in peace, but we come prepared for the alternatives." When the transmission ended, Mercer returned to the bridge. The Nemesis now approached the vast structure of the Spire, a marvel of engineering that housed the collective knowledge and diplomatic core of the galaxy's oldest civilizations. Commander Nelvek had joined them on the bridge, his scales gleaming under the starlight. "Impressive, isn't it?" he asked, noting Mercer's gaze on the spire. 3,000 years of cooperation and competition built that. And now humanity joins the conversation, Mercer noted. Nelvek's expression became serious. "Admiral, I should warn you, despite my government's recommendation, many species will view Earth with suspicion. Your technological advancement appears impossible without outside assistance. Your military capabilities suggest aggressive intent. Your unity defies predicted development. Patterns, so we've been told," Mercer replied calmly. "What they fail to understand," continued the Vraxian, "is what I've learned these past weeks. Humanity's greatest strength isn't your technology or even your adaptability." "Oh? And what would that be, Commander?" Nelvek's tail moved in a gesture of profound respect. "Your capacity to transform enemies into allies, to see beyond immediate victory toward lasting peace. The hegemony came to conquer Earth and instead gained a partner more valuable than 1,000 subjugated worlds." As the spire grew larger in the viewport, Admiral Raven Mercer allowed herself a moment of pride, not just in the Nemesis or Earth's technological achievements, but in the message they carried to the stars. Humanity had entered the galactic stage not as conquerors or victims, but as equals who would extend friendship first, while keeping their most formidable defender close, at hand. For better or worse, the galaxy would never be the same again. And as the Earth delegation prepared to disembark, Admiral Mercer knew with absolute certainty they had only just begun to show the stars what humanity could accomplish. The Nemesis, Earth's deadliest warship, had delivered its most important payload, hope for a future where humanity's place among the stars was secured not through domination, but through strength tempered by wisdom and the unwavering determination to survive. The invasion that never happened had instead birthed a new era for Earth and the galaxy beyond.